we have been discussing on various issues related to the consistency and stability of finite difference discretization schemes for time dependent diffusion type of problems. So, we were dealing with the FTCS scheme. Remember that the governing differential equation that we were solving is like this. So, in the FTCS scheme we discretize the time in forward difference scheme. So, T I n plus 1 minus T I n by delta t is equal to, and this term is in the central difference scheme. We have already discussed about the consistency of this particular scheme and we have shown that this scheme is consistent. Next, what we will try to do is we will try to assess the stability of this scheme. So, as we have already discussed that what do we mean by stability, that there is some perturbation to the numerical scheme because of maybe round off errors, and we want to see whether these perturbations get amplified with time. If they are getting amplified with time, then we say that it is an unstable scheme, and if the perturbations die down, then we say that it is a stable scheme. So, to assess whether it is stable or not, let us work out the following steps. So, first let us write the discretization equation in a bit more compact form. So, this is the discretized equation. So, we have written T I n plus 1 in terms of T I n and T I plus 1 n and T I minus 1 n. So, it is what type of scheme? If you compare this, see there is an interesting analogy of this with the finite volume time discretization. This is what? Explicit, implicit or Crank-Nicolson. You are able to express T I n plus 1 explicitly as a function of the temperature at all other neighboring points at the previous time step. So, it is an explicit scheme. In fact, the equation of discretization of the explicit scheme that we have got through the finite volume method is exactly the same as this one if you do it, and there is a reason behind this. See, the methods are different in philosophy, but essentially they consider some kind of profile assumption. So, it is a linear profile assumption that if you consider, that essentially gives rise to this differencing scheme, and the profile assumption in the finite volume method for the explicit scheme itself suggests that the time differencing is also corresponding to this one, that is the forward differencing in time, and hence you get the same expression what you get at the end after discretization of the equation using the finite volume method. We will not discuss in that line in any further, just to keep in mind that for certain choices of the profile what you are basically doing, you are basically taking some polynomial approximation in the profile. If the profile is a polynomial, say linear profile means it is a polynomial profile of order 1. So that means that is also a way of choosing the terms in the form of or choosing the profile by considering a Taylor series by neglecting many higher order terms beyond the linear term. So making a profile assumption has some linkage with considering a Taylor series where in which you neglect many high order terms and retain maybe up to a linear term, and that is where the correspondence between different methods they creep up. Now we will take it up from here. We have this as the equation that the discretized solution should satisfy. Now let us say that you get an approximate solution. The approximate solution also should satisfy this difference equation. So if you use asterisk to indicate that it is an approximate solution, then we can say that this is true, where superscript asterisk will mean that it is approximate solution. Now if you subtract the original discretization equation or the approximate solution from the original discretization equation, that is if this is 1 and this is 2, and if you write 1 minus 2, then what you get? Ti minus Ti star both n plus 1 is equal to 1 minus 2r Ti minus Ti star both n plus r Ti plus 1 minus Ti plus 1 star n and plus r Ti minus 1 minus Ti minus 1 star n. Keep in mind these n's are not indices, these are just superscripts, n, n plus 1, n minus 1, like that. So in each of these terms you have T minus T star, that is the actual solution minus the approximate solution, which is nothing but the error. So we can write, if we give a symbol epsilon as T minus T star, so we can write epsilon I n plus 1 is equal to 1 minus 2r epsilon I n plus r epsilon I plus 1 n plus r epsilon I minus 1 n. So this is an equation that relates the errors at each grid point and corresponding to each time level. We can see that the errors satisfy exactly the same equation as the discretization equation, just as if you have replaced the value of the variable with the corresponding error, and this has been possible because of the linearity of the equation. So you could just subtract the exact from the approximate to get a relation which is of the same form as that satisfied by either of the exact or the approximate one. Now we have to see that whether these errors, so for stability analysis we require errors their estimates and whether they grow with time or not. So, we have to keep in mind that this epsilon is a function of x and t, and we can write this in terms of a Fourier series. So, what we can do, we can write this as some summation of a into some factor z at the nth level into e to the power of where k is called as wave number. We will discuss in an elaborate way that why do we choose such a form. There could be different types of forms which are possible, but there is something special or something advantageous of this form which we will try to utilize. So, this j is just a number on which this summation is there. So, it is just like a Fourier series where you can have the j ranging from minus infinity to plus infinity. Now, the question is that if you choose a particular value of j, then what is the particular form of this one? This I, remember this I is square root of minus 1. Now, what can be the particular form of this z? Remember that we have considered it to be a separable function of position and time. So, here we are using a function of position which is this exponential form, and this is a function of time. So, a convenient form of this is to choose it as e to the power at, where a is a function of j. So, depending on the value of j, you can have different a and e to the power at. Why e to the power at? The reason is that exponential behavior, in a way it can help you to assess whether there is a growth or there is a decay. So, it depends on how e to the power a at t plus delta t behaves as compared to e to the power at. So, if e to the power a at t plus delta t is greater than e to the power a t, so we say that it is an amplification. On the other hand, if e to the power a into t plus delta t is less than e to the power a at t, then we say that it is a decay. So, this allows you to assess whether there is any exponential growth or decay. Now, here when you say e to the power ikx, here you are not really assessing whether there is exponential growth or decay with respect to space. With respect to space, there is a periodicity or there is a repeatability, and this repeatability comes from this wave number. Typically, that wavelength over which the behavior repeats is the length or the size of each control volume. So, over which you have a periodic behavior of the structure of the discretization equation, because the same discretization equation you are using for each cell. So, that means for each cell whatever is the length, let us say delta x, that is the period over which the same behavior of the discretization equation is repeated, and therefore the corresponding wavelength of this one, if this is the wave number is basically number of waves that you have over a time period. So, if you consider that the wavelength of the corresponding exponential behavior which is depicted by this term, then the corresponding wavelength is nothing but the cell length. Now, why you are considering e to the power I kx. The reason is you do not allow this to be exponentially growing or decaying. So remember e to the power I theta is cos theta plus I sin theta, and if you consider cos of something plus I of sin that something, then what is the amplitude of or modulus of that one? Root over cos square theta plus sin square theta. So that means you are not, by putting this exponential square root of minus 1, you are constraining it in a way that it cannot amplify beyond 1. So the entire responsibility of the amplification is the time dependent, is being carried by the time dependent term. Okay. So that is, these are some of the rationale behind choosing the term in this particular form. Now because the governing equations are linear, it may be possible to make an assessment of the stability of these types of discretized equation by considering just one term in the Fourier series, because the resultant solution is a combination of all the terms in the Fourier series. If one of the terms is what is assessed here, then the same is true for each and every individual term, and the same is true for the resultant also. If it is a linear, it is a linear superposition of all the solutions, that is the final solution. So you can take just one representative term from the series, so you can just assess it by considering that this epsilon is of the form e to the power a t into e to the power I k x. Just to avoid a confusion between this I and this index I, what we can do is we can use maybe here j, where we call it just like people in electrical engineering do, we call that as -1, because in electrical engineering I is preserved for current. So that is why people many times use j, because I is such a common symbol. Here also in the one dimensional discretization, I is so common for a discretization of space, so we use just a different symbol j for square root of -1. Now with this background, let us try to see that if you substitute this error expression in the discretized equation for error, what you get? So you get, in place of epsilon I, that is e to the power a, n plus 1 means time t plus delta t. So e to the power a t plus delta t into e to the power j k, what is x? At I is x equal to x, so e to the power j k x is equal to 1 minus 2r epsilon I n, so e to the power a t, because time is n, space is x, so e to the power j k x plus r e to the power a t into e to the power j k x plus delta x plus e to the power a t into e to the power j k x minus delta x. So if we consider an amplification factor which we call as A, that is e to the power a t plus delta t divided by e to the power a t. So what we get? A is equal to 1 minus 2r plus r e to the power j k delta x plus e to the power minus j k delta x. Okay. Our job will be to see that whether we can ensure that A is in magnitude, that is mod of A is always less than 1. If mod of A is always less than 1, irrespective of the value of R, we say that it is unconditionally stable. But if there are certain conditions for only or certain restrictions on R based on which you have mod A less than 1, then we say that it is conditionally stable. If there is no such case for which A is mod of A is less than 1, we say it is unconditionally unstable. So we will make an assessment which of these cases it belongs to. So just for writing convenience, let us consider k into delta x equal to theta. So A is equal to 1 minus 2r plus r e to the power j theta plus e to the power minus j theta. So 1 minus 2r plus r cos theta plus j sin theta plus cos theta minus j sin theta. We are using the De Moivre's theorem, e to the power I theta is cos theta plus I sin theta. In place of I we are writing j. So this becomes 1 minus 2r plus 2r cos theta. So that is equal to 1 minus 2r into 1 minus cos theta. One minus cos theta is 2 sin square theta by 2. Now you must have for stability mod of A less than 1 or less than equal to 1. Equal to 1 is a limiting case obviously. That means A should lie between minus 1 to plus 1. So 1 minus 4r sin square theta by 2 less than equal to, it should lie between minus 1 to 1. Let us consider the left hand inequality, that is this one. So you have 4r sin square theta by 2 less than equal to 2. So r less than equal to 1 by 2 sin square theta by 2. What is the conservative estimate on r that you can make out of it? So you can have sin theta by 2 ranging sin square theta by 2 ranging from 0 to 1. So if it is 0, very small, so then r is less than equal to a very large number, so it is not conservative. When sin square theta by 2 equal to 1, r is less than equal to half. So you have the whole requirement in one limit, in one side r may be large, less than a large number, that means its upper limit may be large, In another case its upper limit is not so large but half. So out of these two, which is the conservative design that you would take? You take half, because if it is less than half then automatically less than the upper limit is also satisfied, but less than the upper limit does not satisfy less than half. So you have to satisfy both. So that means we can say that R is less than equal to half. Now consider the other limit, that is the right hand limit. So what this will imply? 4r sine square theta by 2 is greater than equal to 0. This is trivially satisfied, this is always true, because r is alpha delta t by delta x square, that is always positive, and sine square theta by 2 is positive. So we do not have to bother anything about this. So our stability criteria becomes r less than equal to half, or Fourier number less than equal to half, because r is the Fourier number alpha delta t by delta x square. So you can see that this is the same stability criteria that we could derive from the equality of signs of all the terms, all the coefficients in the discretized equation, that all coefficients must be of the same sign. So using that we could easily derive this one even without going through such rigorous routes, because that physical consistency has a one-to-one correspondence with the stability that we are talking about. And you can easily make out here that if you look at this discretized equation, I mean one step back, if you go and see the discretized equation, you have a coefficient 1 minus 2r which is tied up with Tin. So 1 minus 2r has to be positive, because the other coefficients like r or 1, these are all positive. So to make sure that it happens, you must have 1 minus 2r that is positive, and that will make sure that r is less than equal to half. So just by looking at the discretized equation, that is the power, that is more powerful than even this analysis to my understanding, because that is very physical, and just by looking at the discretized equation without going through these rigorous exercises, you can come up with the same condition that is required for stability of the corresponding discretization method. But anyway, this rigorous exercise checks that whatever we could infer from the sign of the different coefficients, that inference holds true even with more complex analysis. So that is about the FTCA scheme. So we will consider one or two more examples to illustrate the stability analysis. So next we will consider a different scheme. All these are for unsteady, one dimensional unsteady state diffusion problems. CTCA scheme. This is also called as leapfrog scheme. CTCS means central time, central space. So time discretization by central difference and spatial discretization also by central difference. So let us see, let us write the governing equation. So let us write the corresponding discretization. Central difference in time. So Ti n plus 1 minus Ti n minus 1 by 2 delta t. Okay. So how do you derive this central difference? We have done it once, but just to recapitulate, you write the Taylor series for Ti n plus 1, write it in terms of Ti n, then write Ti n minus 1 in terms of Ti n and subtract the 2. Now this is the left hand side, the right hand side is the same as that of the previous case. Sorry. So you can write here T I n plus 1 minus T I n minus 1 is equal to R by 2 T I plus 1 n plus T I minus 1 n minus 2 T I n. Two R, sorry, not R by 2, 2R. The corresponding approximate solution T I star n plus 1 minus T I star n minus 1 if you subtract this you will get the error, that is epsilon I n plus 1 minus epsilon I n minus 1 is equal to 2R into epsilon I plus 1 n plus epsilon I minus 1 n minus 2 epsilon I n. What will be the next step? We substitute the form of the error, that is e to the power a t into e to the power j k x. The multiplier a is also there, it is not that it is not there, but it gets cancelled from both sides, that is why we are not keeping it explicitly. So we are just writing the form. So in place of this one, what will be the term? E to the power a t plus delta t into e to the power j k x minus e to the power a t minus delta t into e to the power j k x is equal to 2R into e to the power a t e to the power j k x plus delta x plus e to the power a t e to the power j k x minus delta x minus 2 e to the power a t e to the power j k x. Okay. So let us simplify. To simplify, we divide both sides by e to the power a t into e to the power j k x. See, why do we have this e to the power a t e to the power j k x form? It is a separable function of time and position, so that we can isolate the effects of the time dependence with spatial dependence. Spatially we can keep it periodic, still time wise we can have it either amplified or died down, and these two effects are separable by virtue of taking a separable form of the expression for the error. Now if we divide both sides by e to the power a t into e to the power j k x, then we have e to the power a delta t minus e to the power minus a delta t is equal to 2r into e to the power j k delta x plus e to the power minus j k delta x minus 2. Okay. Remember that e to the power a t is a delta t is your amplification factor a, that is e to the power a t plus delta t divided by e to the power a t. So if this is a, this is 1 by a. So a minus 1 by a is equal to 2r k into delta x, let us call it theta. So 2r cos theta 2 cos theta minus 2. So a minus 1 by a is equal to 4r into cos theta minus 1. That is minus 8r sin square theta by 2. So if we write, it is a square plus 8r sin square theta by 2 into a minus 1 is equal to 0. It is a quadratic equation in A. There is an important and interesting observation that you can make from this quadratic equation. There are two roots of A, right, and you can see what is the product of the roots. So what is the magnitude of the product of the roots? That is 1. So magnitude of the product of the roots is 1, means if one of the roots has magnitude less than 1, the other root will have magnitude greater than 1, like that. So it has an inherent problem, the scheme has an inherent problem associated with it, that is you may not be able to keep magnitude of A bounded as less than 1, less than or equal to 1, because the magnitude, the product of the roots is having a magnitude of 1. Okay. So let us try to see what are the roots and go into bit more details. So A is minus 8r sin square theta by 2 plus minus root over 64 r square sin 4 theta by 2 So minus 4r sin square theta by 2 plus minus square root of 16 r square sin 4 theta by 2 plus 1. Now we want to make an assessment of mod A, and again we have to be conservative in design. So to do that, which one we will consider here out of plus and minus, plus or minus? If you consider the minus one, you can see if you consider the magnitude is higher, because here is a minus term which when added with another minus term will add to the magnitude, whereas the plus with a minus combination will actually reduce the magnitude. See, it all depends on the interpretation of A. It all, I mean, it depends on, it is not true that you can just interpret it as e to the power A delta t in this way. It is basically an amplification factor. Now the amplification factor you could write in different ways. In whatever way you write, the thing is that you are considering about a factor which is talking about the amplification of a particular perturbation. So when you consider only the positive root, of course you make sure that A is less than 1, but you have to also keep in mind that it is the mod A that is important. So essentially when we talk about A here, essentially when we talk about this one, we talk about the mod of A. It is not just the A that is important, it is the mod of A which has certain interpretation. So here it is not that A that itself is important, it is the mod of A that is important. It may not have the exponential sense that we are talking about, this is just an example. So you could write it in many ways, where you could write it at the new time step divided by the old time step will come as a factor A. Exponential way is just one way of writing it, but it is that's not all. So it is just the amplification, just the time dependence in the next step divided by the time dependence in the previous step, that is what is A. So exponential way of writing it is just one way of deriving it, but that is not just as the complete way of doing it, it is just one way of doing it. So if you consider the greater magnitude of A, so the greater magnitude of A is given by the magnitude of 4r minus 4r sine squared theta by 2 minus 16r square sine 4 theta by 2 plus 1. And this is always greater than 1, right, because 1 plus something positive, square root of that, with that again a positive term is added, because the minus sign you can absorb from both. So this is greater than 1, that means it is until and unless it may be equal to 1 if r is equal to 0, but r equal to 0 is not the case which corresponds to a practical numerical solution, because delta t equal to 0 you cannot take. So this means it is unconditionally unstable. See, from the FTCA scheme we have to first understand that what motivated us to introduce the CTCA scheme, because after introducing it we have now fallen in trap that we are finding that it is unconditionally unstable. But what motivated us to introduce that scheme? What motivated us is very simple, it is a greed to go for higher order accuracy. So if you consider the time discretization in the FTCA scheme, it is a forward difference, and in the CTCS it is the central difference. The central difference discretization is expected to be more accurate in terms of its order of accuracy as compared to the forward difference, and that motivated us to go from FTCS to CTCS. But what we are seeing here is that even if we go for a more accurate scheme, that is not all, because that can give rise to undesirable conditions of stability, that is here we are getting it is unconditionally unstable. So there is no way that you can ensure that it has a particular condition at least which you could maintain for its stability. So we need to modify this method. So two very famous mathematicians came up with a modification of this particular scheme to give rise to some desirable features of stability, and that particular scheme is called as Dufour-Frankel scheme. So, let us write first the CTCA scheme and then see that how it is modified. So, what these two mathematicians they did was as follows. So, they made a change of this term and represented or replaced TIN as half of TIN minus 1 and TIN plus 1. Just an ad hoc change, that is replace TIN as an average of TIN plus 1 and TIN minus 1, which is sort of physically intuitive, that the temperature at a particular grid point at a particular time, you are replacing it with an average of that as the previous time and the next time, and that makes the scheme change from CTCS to Dufour-Frankel scheme. So, this presentation of the scheme is very simple. Now, let us try to make an assessment of the stability of this particular scheme. So, let us simplify it, TIN plus 1 So, we substitute the form e to the power at e to the power j k x. Just to remind you again, this is just a form. So, something which is an amplification which can get amplified with time or decayed with time, exponential is just a representative of that, but it need not be the only representative. There could be several ways in which it could be written, and similarly this is written as a spatially periodic function of space. Now, let us write the corresponding error terms. So, by the time we know that the errors will follow the same as that of this equation of the form of the discretized equation because of the linearity of the equation. So, we have epsilon I n plus 1 minus epsilon I n minus 1 is equal to 2r epsilon I plus 1 n plus epsilon I minus 1 n minus epsilon I n minus 1 minus epsilon I n plus 1. We substitute here e to the power a t plus delta t into e to the power j k x minus e to the power a t minus delta t into e to the power j k x is equal to 2r into e to the power a t e to the power j k x plus delta x plus e to the power a t e to the power j k x minus delta x minus e to the power a t minus delta t into e to the power j k x and minus e to the power a t plus delta t into e to the power j k x. The next step is divide both sides by e to the power at into e to the power j k x. So, we have a minus 1 by a, the change is there in the right hand side, it is 2r, then e to the power at into e to the power j k x is gone, e to the power j k delta x plus e to the power minus j k delta x then yes minus 1 by a, right, minus a. So, a minus 1 by a if we write, then this into, sorry, you cannot write a minus 1 by a in this way. So, a into 1 plus 2r minus 1 by a into 1 minus 2r is equal to 2r into 2 cos theta. So, if we multiply by a, then a square 1 plus 2r into a square minus 2 minus 4r cos theta into a minus 1 minus 2r equal to 0, right. If there is any error in algebra, please point it out. So, a becomes 4 r cos theta plus minus root over 16 r square cos square theta plus 4 into 1 minus 4 r square by 2 into 1 plus 2 r. So, this is 4 r cos theta plus minus, you can take the 2 inside, so square root of 4 r square cos square theta, sorry, we can make it 2 r cos theta r cos theta plus minus square root of 1 minus 4 r square into 1 minus cos square theta, that is 4 r square sin square theta by 1 plus 2 r. Now, we can divide it into 2 cases. Case 1, 2 r is less than 1. If 2 r is less than 1, then 4 r square is less than 1, right. Remember, r is positive. So, it is a, that means we are considering 2 r less than 1 means r is a fraction. So, 4 r square is also that is 2r is a fraction, that means 4r square less than 1. So 4r square sin square theta, that is also less than 1. That means this square root will give you something imaginary. So then that a will be 2r cos theta plus minus j, where j is square root of minus 1 into yes, right, right. So very right. So this is less than 1 means this is a positive root, right. So then we will consider the plus sign of it, or plus minus, but considering that this is a real number. Now out of plus or minus, which one we should take? Plus for the conservative estimate. So you take the plus sign. So 1 minus 4r sin square theta plus 2r cos theta by 1 plus 2r. So this is less than or equal to, this particular side of it is less than or equal to 1, right, because 1 minus 4 r square sin square theta okay, let us see, let us check its, we have ensured its positivity, that is all. So this is positive, so this, then this plus 2r cos theta. So it is always less than or equal to 1 plus 2r cos theta, because this is a term that reduces it. So if you consider the plus sign, then this is less than equal to 1 plus 2r cos theta by 1 plus 2r, right, because 1 minus 4r square sin square theta will always reduce it from 1. So this will have a maximum value of 1 and then 1 plus 2r cos theta. So it is less than or equal to 1 plus 2r cos theta, and this is less than or equal to 1. Okay. So that is case 1. Case 2, 2r greater than 1. So if 2r is greater than 1, then that is the imaginary root that we were talking about. So then a will be 2r cos theta plus minus 4r square sin square theta minus 1, right. So mod of a is 4r square cos square theta plus 4r square sin square theta minus 1 by 1 plus 2r, mod of a square basically by 1 plus 2r whole square. So 4r square minus 1 by 2r plus 1 whole square. So this is 2r minus 1 into 2r plus 1 by 2r plus 1 whole square. So if you cancel, this will come out to be less than equal to 1. So in either way we show that this is less than or equal to 1, that means this scheme is unconditionally stable. So both for 2 are less than 1 and 2 are greater than 1, but ironically this scheme is not consistent. So I will leave it on you as a homework, you try to show it that this scheme is unconditionally stable that we have proved, but it is not consistent. That means the truncation error will not tend to 0 in the limit as delta x and delta t are simultaneously taken to 0. Okay. So we stop here today, thank you.